Whew, this building has some major interstory drift. Can you feel it? Interstory drift. interstory space drift. Interstory drift. This episode and today's engineering term of the day is sponsored by Construction Specialties. And it's really appropriate that Construction Specialties is sponsoring this term because it's a construction term. It's a civil engineering term. And Construction Specialties, what do you think they specialize in? Architecture, civil engineering, and construction. So before I go into the meaning of interstory drift, I want to let you know about one of Construction Specialties' events coming up in January. You should check it out if you're into architecture and construction and civil engineering. There is a CS Live segment called Architectural Products for Behavioral Health on January 26th from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you go, you can explore some of Construction Specialties' interior product solutions that impact the design of behavioral health facilities. So if you're into construction, behavioral health, architecture, all that stuff, this is an event for you. Okay, let's get into interstory drift. Now, I always knew that this was a phenomenon related to buildings, especially tall ones, but I didn't know that there was a phrase for it until Construction Specialties introduced it to me. You might be able to guess the meaning of interstory drift based on just the root words in there. It's actually the displacement between two stories in a building. Take the 40th floor of a skyscraper, for example, and also the 41st one. The 41st floor above the 40th floor might be a little shifted over, a little bit more to the left, we'll say, compared to the 40th floor. Just because wind might be pushing the building or the beams in the building might flex a little bit, that kind of stuff. There is just natural movement that buildings will experience, and stories might not be perfectly aligned on top of each other. The interstory drift can be combined with other calculations to quantify the entire behavior of the whole building, and you might come up with the interstory drift ratio, for example, where you try to calculate the relative amount of movement compared to the height of the whole building. Or you might try to find the interstory rotational drift. Maybe you're more interested in the twisting of the building more than the shear or the translation of that building. So interstory drift is a really cool mathematical parameter, you could say, when characterizing maybe the safety or performance of different buildings. Again, it's much more important for taller buildings because that's where you're going to see the most drift. My personal connection to interstory drift is just that when I first started working as an engineer, I got to travel for basically the first time, like really travel, because I would go out, meet customers, train a little bit in different technology, learn how to run a mechanical test machine over in Alabama or something. And going to different cities was kind of awesome. I wanted to always go to the highest point in a city, if I could. One of the things that lets you do that is going into a skyscraper. I went to the Westin Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia once, and it was awesome because you take an elevator all the way up to like one of the highest floors. I don't know if it was the 40th or the 50th or whatever, but it's made out of glass, that elevator. So you can see the ground fall away before you as you get higher and higher and higher. And it's kind of crazy and makes your stomach churn. And as you get higher, you think about, is there interstory drift? Now that phrase didn't come into my mind, but I thought, is this building swaying? Is the top floor actually perfectly aligned over the bottom floor? Do we have to wonder about this? I don't know. And so that's just one example, but I like going to the tops of different buildings, if not mountains and stuff. And you might think, okay, what is the amount of shifting that we see in this building or that we feel? That's all subjective. My fears and sensations were all subjective based on my vision, which is not as accurate as a ruler. It's based on my stomach moving, which is not as accurate as a camera. Civil engineers and construction engineers are going to measure interstory drift with cameras maybe externally or sensors internally to the building to see if beams are aligned or if the floor and ceiling is aligned. It's really cool. You should look it up. Since interstory drift is a nice measure of building performance and safety, that is why it's a great engineering term of the day. So once again, thank you to our sponsor, Construction Specialties, for suggesting and introducing me to this term. Interstory drift is our engineering jargon of the day. Hey, this is Pius, your host of Engineering Word of the Day. This podcast is available on all sorts of platforms, but you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and basically all the social medias. Go follow me, support me on Patreon if you like these projects, and stay tuned for more.